everybody. If any of you have ever been interested in the scandalous scenes of children's shows, or you just love a good gossip session, then we hope this topic will be of interest to you. Obviously, Joanna and I are not childhood actors ourselves, unless she's been lying to all of us, but we have been doing extensive research on our topic for the past couple weeks, and we find ourselves to be a credible source for you all today. The topic we will be informing you all is the behind the scenes of children's shows, which we will be breaking up into 4 main points. Our first point will be the overworking hours children had to endure. Our second point will be the mistreatment on set. Our third point will be about substance abuse some actors struggled with. And lastly, we will be talking about what some actors did after their contract ended.
To start off with our first topic, when a child gets thrown into the acting industry, it is very easy for them to get overworked or be taken advantage of. Allison Stoner, a 12-year-old actress that was a part of the acting industry, according to a BuzzFeed article, she states that the set conditions she and other co-stars were a part of violated child labor laws. Since she was being overworked 24/7, this led later on to her eating disorder. Her childhood was basically being taken advantage of and being put to her own use, to their own benefit, and being seen as a dollar sign throughout her whole life. Later on in the same article, the same singer and actress Miley Cyrus, she also commented her concerns about the child labor laws, and she also stated her concerns and her outrageous work schedule she had back when she was a preteen. She had to wake up at 5:30 to start her day with her hair and makeup, and then her day would consist of interviews and meetings. Then to end her day, she would have to fly back home to continue filming Hannah. She was having a work schedule of an adult who was basically working 3 jobs. Now back to Star, who will talk more about the various ways of mistreatment from staff.
Yeah, so a lot of childhood actors dealt with mistreatment on set, which actually sometimes ended up being illegal. Sometimes it was so bad that, according to the Los Angeles Times in 2022, Nickelodeon offered Jed McCurdy $300,000 of hush money to not talk about her experience. For some context, Jeanette McCurdy was a Nickelodeon star, and she was the main character on iCarly and Sam and Cat. Obviously, she denied this offer of money as she talked about her experiences on set. She worked with director Dan Schneider, who we do not like, and even though she had talked previously about her struggles with eating, Dan refused to listen to her and still made her character out to be this food-crazed and obsessed person. She would have to binge eat on stage and also talk about food consistently, which made her extremely uncomfortable and caused her a lot of lifelong issues. Another great example of this would be Daniela Monette. Daniela Monette was another Nickelodeon star who was a supporting character on the show Victorious. She also worked along with Dan Schneider, and he would specifically hypersexualize her off-set and on-set. A really good example of this, as you can see in the picture, she had a pickle in one hand and a lip gloss in another, and they shot a scene where she had to put the pickle in her mouth and put lip gloss on. And after the scene was done, she explicitly talked to the directors, told her she was uncomfortable with the scene and did not want it aired, and yet they aired it anyways. Now that this information has got out and actors have spoken up about their mistreatment, luckily Dan Schneider has been banned from being on set or being able to film any other shows furthermore. A lot of this mistreatment could lead actors into paths such as substance abuse, which Joanna will further talk about today.
So yeah, like Star said, substance abuse was a common pattern that most childhood actors relied on for some sort of relief. Camp Rock was an iconic and popular movie, and that brought a lot of joy to me while watching when I was a kid, but unfortunately it didn't bring much joy to some of the cast members on set. Mainly it was Demi Lovato, who was the main actress, a part of the Camp Rock series movies, and throughout the filming process she was struggling with many issues. According to one of her document series, Dancing with the Devil from 2021, she talks about her using and experimenting with hard drugs, for example, Xanax, cocaine, and heroin. She also mentions about her overdose back in 2018, and throughout the scenes from Camp Rock 2, it was known that she was on drugs and drinking throughout set and during the scenes, which later on, back when you watch the movies, you might notice it if you look more into it. When I was a kid, I remember me and my sister would repeatedly watch Life Size, Doll, and The Parent Trap. Unfortunately, however, we found out later on that main actress Lindsay Lohan, she was experimenting with hard drugs as well, and later on was sent to jail. Her acting, she was a beloved actor, and her acting was very famous throughout her childhood and throughout the movies she was in, but unfortunately brought public investigation towards that. According to one of the articles from 2023 this year, it was known that she was going through some personal challenges and was also using substance abuse throughout that time. For this reason, she was admitted to rehab facilities plenty of times throughout her life when she was on drugs and using and experimenting with substance abuse. Later on in the same article, it also states how in 2020 she states how she's now doing perfectly fine and living more of a peaceful life after all that she went through. Now, back to Star, who will talk about how I talked about how actors were during the contract. Now she will talk about furthermore what happened to them after their contracts ended.
Yeah, so a lot of actors experienced a new sense of liberty and freedom after they ended their contracts with whatever entertainment they were working with. And I remember when I was in like 5th grade or so, my mom saw that there was a new movie that was starring Selena Gomez in it. We decided to watch it together, and after about 5 minutes or so, we immediately had to shut it off. That movie was Spring Breakers. It was released in 2012, which was right after Selena Gomez's contract with Disney had ended. The show portrayed a lot of Disney's disbeliefs, such as partying, drinking, taking drugs, getting arrested, and using a lot of profanity. At the time, it was really frowned upon, but now we can see it was a really good leaping pad for Selena Gomez's career. It showed the society that she was no longer working with Disney and that she could be her own self, even if she was portraying it in a pretty explicit way. Another great example of this would be the iconic Miley Cyrus. She was best known for her role in Hannah Montana, and after her contract ended, she ended up making her own music. One of her most iconic music videos to this day is Wrecking Ball, which I think we've all seen at one point or another, where she is quite literally swinging half naked on a wrecking ball and singing her heart out. A lot of people at the time did not like this and thought she was being too sensual and explicit on the screen. But she has been a success besides her haters, and according to the website K-Word, in 2022, statistically the video has over 1 billion views and is being streamed 60,000 times per day. She persists on even though some people do not like her.
Today we talked to you guys about the mistreatment that some childhood actors had to go through. We shared 4 main points with you. How child actors were overworked, then how they were mistreated from staff members, then later on the substance abuses they had to go through, and then lastly we talked about how and then how their contracts ended, what happened to them after their contracts ended. After listening to her speech, if you always wanted to be on television and wanted to say the classic and you were watching Disney Channel after the speech, you might have been glad that you guys weren't a part of all that. Thank you.
Thank you.